Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fintech Combine. I am your host, Kris Kovacs, and this is the series where we talk with and sometimes about community-based institutions, their digital and business transformation projects, and we meet the innovators, entrepreneurs, and fintechs that make it all possible. Today, we're starting a brand new series called Powered by Curql. Curql is the investment fund created by credit unions that has now made more than 40 investments in fintech startups, bringing the very best applications to the credit union marketplace. They provide both investment to the fintechs, but they also bridge the gap and help them start to acquire customers inside the credit union space. For more information about Curql, visit Curql, Curql.com. On this episode, we're meeting with Snehal Bhojeli, the founder and CEO of Uptiq.ai, about what his firm is building and how they're bridging the gap between applications with their innovative AI platform. So if you're ready, let's suit up and get out on the field. Snehal, I'm very excited to have you on the show today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and about your company, Uptiq?
Thanks, Chris, for having me. I'm excited to be on the show. My name is Snehal Bhojeli. I'm the CEO, founder of Uptiq.ai. My little bit of quick background, I've spent a couple decades building financial software deployed in banks, credit unions, and fintechs. So I have some understanding of how financial institutions consume software and some of the challenges that they experience. Now, let me tell a little bit about Uptiq as well. So if you think about what we do, I think it's essential to understand how financial services institutions run. They actually run on systems of records, like LOSs, core banking, and so on and so forth. And these systems of records are actually really good at what they do. But if you think about where the work gets done, it's actually in the bankers and underwriters and loan consultants' heads. They are, in a sense, the integration layer, right? They are the ones who are actually connecting the dots and making this work. So think of Uptiq AI as the platform that actually adds an intelligent operating layer on top of the existing systems of records that financial institutions like banks and credit unions have. This layer basically acts as digital workers, right, across onboarding, across servicing, compliance, and risk, so that now the actual employees of bank becomes reviewer of those tasks, but the AI and agents that cuts across multiple systems and have the context across the organization do most of the work, right? So that's what Uptiq is. Uptiq is an AI platform company that adds this operating layer on top of existing systems of record for a bank or a credit union or a financial services organization, and brings AI and the full power of AI in automating lots and lots of manual tasks, and brings all that power to the users and the employees of the bank so that the bank can run more efficiently.
Tell me a little bit about where you started. Where did you get the inspiration for Uptiq?
The roots are a little bit in my previous company. This is my second company as the founding CEO. Prior to Uptiq, I was the founding CEO of another fintech company called Cloud Lending, which was a loan origination and underwriting software. It was basically an LOS vendor. We eventually sold that business to Q2. Now, it's called Q2 Lending out in the world. But that's kind of, and I ran that business from 2013 when I founded it until 2020. And during that period, obviously worked with a lot of banks, credit unions, and installed the LOS. And I think in that experience, basically, we saw how underwriters use our platform, and why they succeeded and why they didn't succeed. Right, our platform was designed to make them more efficient, but what tends to happen is the employees actually spend obviously some time in following the process, in putting everything in your LOS or core banking, etc. But the real work really happens outside these workflow solutions. Right? I mean, when you think about underwriting a deal, somebody's actually reviewing the policies, and somebody who has a lot of experience in reviewing that type of deal would
Right.
basically do a lot of that work outside of these systems or workflows. So in a sense, we have found ourselves in a world where we have lots and lots and lots of systems in the name of digital transformation, and that may have actually had a an adverse effect wherein people are actually maybe not as efficient that these systems were designed to do. I think AI changes all of that. AI actually could orchestrate across these systems if integrated right, so that the context can be in the operating layer. Second thing it will do is it actually de-risks the organization, because now the employee doesn't need to have X years of experience to deliver the
Mhm.
same type of kind of result or the outcome. Let's say with somebody with fewer years of experience. So I think those types of
Mhm.
things are possible, and just tying all of this together, the background through cloud learning days, pair with what's happening in AI and what the technology can enable, it just feels like institutions should harness the power of this, and that's the reason why we started Uptiq.
Yeah.
I think lastly I'll say is as you think about the largest organizations out there, right? I mean, talking about the JPMs of the world, I mean, they're investing like billions of dollars in building their AI capabilities, etc.
Mhm.
Now, when you think about the community financial institutions and credit unions, right? I mean, now they have to actually go and compete against that type of automation and AI awesomeness, and we
Mhm.
feel like it's a market that obviously is deserving of all the technology and great tools, which is what we are going to bring. But I think if you think about it, what they're really good at is a member experience. They're really good at giving in person and just a
Mhm.
very local and community feel. So through this technology, actually that amplifies further, right? Now the let's say the employees are not spending a lot more time on the workflows and systems. Let the AI agents and the digital workforce handle that. Now they have actually more time to spend with the members or with the small businesses locally. And I think it's an amazing leveler, in my opinion. I think it's going to make the community financial institutions more relevant in the future
Mhm.
than less relevant. It's kind of counterintuitive, but I think that's really what is very excited about this technology.
So, unlike many AI solutions that are out there that are siloed into a particular system, it sounds like your system gives the institution the ability to move data and processes between systems. Am I hearing that correctly?
You're absolutely hearing that right. That's kind of what our thesis is, and that's what we are really designing our platform to be. If you just take any example, I mean, I guess there are two categories of AI applications out there. One is this new age AI native point solution. There are a lot of AI solutions out there that are focusing on, let's say, onboarding or servicing or compliance or lending. And then you
Mhm.
have the incumbents like Encino, Q2, Alchemy, Pfizer, FI, Jack Henry. If you look at their roadmap, it's kind of unilaterally, they're all trying to make their current systems more intelligent by adding
Mhm.
AI capabilities to it. But if you really think about this, I mean, if you're just making your CRM more intelligent or your account opening more intelligent, that's kind of an incremental improvement. But unless you have I mean, you got to think like how a human would interact with these interfaces. I mean, they cut
Mhm.
across multiple systems, so that's kind of
Right.
an essential part of what differentiates us. And hence, in our platform, one of the key building blocks is this integration cloud that we have as part of our platform, and that
Mhm.
is basically all about integrating into all kinds of enterprise software like LOSs and core, etc., along with payroll, CRM, what have you, and actually through that integration cloud, which is MCP enabled, our agents can cuts across multiple systems, both
Mhm.
structured transactional data as well as unstructured data such as policies or
Mhm.
documents stored in Dropbox or Box, whatever. So it really starts to shape up like this is an organizational's brain or knowledge base, right, which cuts across systems. So I think you got that absolutely right. That's kind of our differentiation. That's our hypothesis, that you don't want to just have if you want to have step improvement, you got to cut across multiple systems so that you can bring that context and surface that on top, and then I think the outcome would be the employees of banks would become a reviewer of the information
Mm-hmm.
and can now have time free up to spend more with the members and the local businesses and so on and so forth.
So one of the things that's characteristic of kind of how institutions use loan origination systems is the criteria or emphasis can change based on market conditions, based on the needs of the institution. Tell me a little bit about how your agents aren't hard coded, but instead have the ability to adapt to those changes in policy without having to be pulled off and reprogrammed.
Yeah. Um, we so we I think it's important to understand how our platform is layered to answer that question, sufficiently well. Um, we actually build a platform layer which has all the key AI tooling and components, such as app building infrastructure using prompts. You can build agents using prompts. It has an ability to integrate into transactional data. Also, it has ability to consume policy data or any unstructured data for that matter. It has other non-functional aspects such as observability, explainability, guardrails, things like that that you would expect in an enterprise grade AI agent building tool to have. The way it is designed, and then on top of it, we build these factory of agents which are designed to solve very specific problem. Like we have an agent that is good at just spreading financials. We have an agent that writes credit memos really well. We have an agent that tracks governance, and that's all that agent is really good at. And then we package these agents into kind of an industry solution. Almost think like a clouds, like an origination cloud or a growth cloud or a servicing cloud or a risk cloud or a compliance. So there are kind of the three layers. Now the bottom layer is designed in a manner wherein when you build an agent, you link your policy data into it. Now, as long as you have it pointed to the place where you are updating your policies, the agent will just pick that updated policy in real time, and it would have that intelligence, either incremental or refresh or what have you, depending on the changes to the policy. It could be as simple as, hey, now we're gonna add a new line, new type of a loan product. Let's say we give line of credit, revolving line of credit to SMBs now, which wasn't the case previously. It will pick it automatically. So it doesn't need to go through a change management process. I think that's kind of one of the beautiful things about how we design the platform.
So with the bundling of these agents into these clouds, then that means when you walk into an institution, you're not starting from scratch.
That's right. The whole idea, the whole idea is to deliver value as quickly as we possibly can. I think you are, along with the consumer behavior, even organizational behavior is changing dramatically, which is they don't want to install something and then see value being delivered after 6 months, right? I mean, that happens in an enterprise setup. I think we believe the software is actually moving way, way, way rapidly these days, and we can deliver stuff very quickly. It's almost like writing software is commoditized. So I think there's no reason why you cannot build and deliver something very quickly and rapidly, even in an enterprise context. I mean, there will be certain places where you have to build integrations and so on and so forth that will take time. But the idea behind these clouds or packaging bunch of agents and workflows into a more kind of a drop in so that institutions can use it is the way to actually deliver value very, very quickly. I'll give you an example. So we have an origination cloud for commercial deals. It has bundles of agents that can actually do the application intake depending on your organization's policy. So you basically log in, you drop your policy, It understands as an organization, you will do CRE loans and CNI loans in Texas as an example, right? And for CRE loans, these are the 10 documents that you need, right? It just gets that right away, right? Without any implementation or integration here. The intake agent goes to the borrower and the affiliates and brings all the documents that you need to begin underwriting that loan, right? Without any human beings involvement, right? So to deliver that in a let's say in a SaaS context would require you to go in, implement software, and so on and so forth. Here, all you're doing is you're dropping your policy document, and it just picks it up, and agent just goes to work, right? Now the underwriting, and I'll tell you how this kind of expands from here. So underwriting uses some of our templates, which are kind of our best in class templates. But organizations, as you know, they will have their own nuances. Hey, we want to use this type of template, and that becomes a smaller implementation exercise, right?
Yeah.
And if maybe somebody wants, hey, we want to pull this data feed from documents being stored in Encino versus using agent going out there and fetching documents as an example. So that becomes like an implementation step. But as far as seeing value is concerned, we just drop in and they let them like experience it. They see value right away, and then that becomes an easier conversation. So not really, I mean, the pitch has been replaced by software. Let me just say this, like we are like, okay, we are not pitching with nice looking presentations and such. We're just dropping our packages and let users kind of use it and run with it.
How quickly from when you become engaged with an institution can they start seeing some of the values that you're talking about, and they can start seeing the impacts of your technology?
I think it's like realistically, it's days, not even weeks, to be honest. But when it comes to like a full rollout right now, let's say they want to integrate into core and this and that will probably add a couple months to it. But it's I think that's kind of the, like, they see the value, they like it, and that's when they take the next step, as opposed to integrating how many projects fail in implementation. So this is kind of going back to the first principle, saying, look, you see value first, and if you experience it, that's when you move on to a larger rollout.
Is there is the goal when you're done to make the institution self-sufficient so they can create their own agents in the future, or do they or because of your expertise do they come back to you when they identify a new opportunity?
That's a great question. I think it depends on the type of institution. The platform is capable. It's a agent building platform with prepackaged agents, if you will. So you are, the platform is designed for builders so that they can actually build agents, write custom agents very, very quickly. I think we typically look at our users or our customers as either, let's say, mid to large and enterprises, and then you have smaller community financial institutions and credit unions, right? And some credit union, some community financial institutions could actually be, they may act like a large institution because they want to build everything in house and they want to control it. So there is a bit of a gray area there, but I think for the latter, it's really more about, hey, we sit down with them, figure out what their problems are, and then we actually build it for them, right? Because they don't have the expertise or even the appetite or desire to actually pick this up on their own, while you have more mature ITs departments in some of the more larger institutions where they may want to kind of pick this up on their own. So we show them how to fish, and then they go and fish. I think one interesting, we haven't seen this happen as yet, but if our vision is, as we build this operating intelligence layer for our customers, we'll get to a point where they will start to see that there are certain fringe point solutions that they have in the organization, and they may not need those. I think especially things that doesn't really store any critical customer data, or it's not a system of record. I mean, why even bother with those? So I think this thing will actually simplify. It's when you think about adding another layer, you
Yeah.
typically think about, oh, you're actually adding complexity. I think this is going to be slightly different. I think it's going to reduce complexity. It will actually simplify their not only their spaghetti of all the point solutions, but I think even total cost
Yeah.
of ownership.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of articles out there about how AI and agentic AI in particular is really targeting the software as a solution model, right?
Yeah.
The SaaS model is becoming, endangered really because of AI. So I certainly think that's there. Is there a particular real world example that's been most surprising to you about how an institution has used your platform?
Yeah. I think when we talk about and most financial institutions are a bit behind in terms of kind of an AI maturity curve in terms of having
Mm-hmm.
their own AI policies, including having somebody within the organization who can intelligently articulate what AI means to that organization, right? So this is
Right.
what I'm really saying is also a function of that. When you when we first engage with a typical FI, they typically look at us saying, "Huh, you're going to come in and automate these three things for us," right? So suddenly you are in an automation bucket,
Right.
and which is clearly something that we do hands down. I mean, that's kind of a great entry
Mm-hmm.
point for us. But as we go in and as we kind of as they see what this can really mean, they themselves start to think that, oh, this is more than automation. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
about redefining our roles. It's about actually getting our time back so that we do what do we do best, which is work with our members or community or local communities. And I
Right.
think this I thought that actually that transition is going to take a lot longer. I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised that I think more they're just picking this up as soon as they see like first or second cycles of what we are deploying. They pick it up. I think what is also helping, in my opinion, is all the whole world is AI. It seems like every
Yeah.
single problem out there in the world right now has been solved by AI. So there is an AI fatigue, but when they actually see it in their
Right.
workplaces and environment, it actually kind of becomes real for them, and then they become, huh, now I mean, this almost like redefining their roles in some sense. So that has been surprising. I think the uptake of this technology has been a lot faster than any other technology that we have seen in the past, which I mean,
Yeah.
I'm particularly surprised
And you
by.
were even mentioning that customers can use prompt engineering to create agents, right?
Yeah, yeah, we have this thing going on in the organization. We call it the 80/20. What that really means is customers can just use prompt to build 80% of whatever they want, and then they come to us, and we deploy somebody to finish up that whatever they started,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
Yeah. I think that's the genesis moment for some people, right? Is when they realize it isn't just automation, but it is actually the ability to create the thing that does the work, right?
yeah,
AI
exactly,
will
yeah,
answer any question you want, including how do I use you, right?
yeah.
How do I build an agent? Like it can answer those questions for you as well. Um, Talk to me a little about your technology approach. How did you go about building this solution that was adaptable, that was, obviously, keenly AI ready? Talk a little bit about how you made some of the engineering decisions that went into building your platform.
Yeah, that's a great question. It all started about 3 years ago when some of the frontier models beginning to kind of release their APIs out there for everybody to consume. And of course, we are kind of think of us as a bridge between what frontier models do and what is it
Mhm.
that banks really need in terms of a finished
Right.
product, right? So we're kind of the bridge. So obviously, yeah.
Now, let me stop you for a second. Define frontier models for our audience, because that's a term they may not be familiar with.
Okay, understood. So frontier models are the companies who are building the base AI models, right? So the example would be OpenAI, and I think everybody knows. So
Hmm.
when you think about ChatGPT, and right now the latest model probably is 5.2. But so they keep releasing these models who are getting better and better and better in terms of reasoning and what they are able to do. There are other companies such as Anthropic. Now Google Gemini is top notch. And then you have open source open source AI models. Like a lot of Chinese companies are really good at that. In the US, you have Llama, which is kind of taken a bit of a backseat. But I would say there are probably about a dozen enterprise grade, incredibly sophisticated AI models, and they keep improving in every time they come up with a new release in terms of their capabilities. Our and we saw that it was first just OpenAI, and then came Gemini, and then came Llama, and then came all these open source. So I think the 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 fundamental engineering decision that we have made is, look, we are going to rely on these frontier models capabilities. And this is a very interesting evolution where frontier models are actually encroaching in the app layer as well. Like in let's say in cloud or in any other previous cycle, you would have the infra layer. In this case, this is the infrastructure layer, right? And they would likely not go and compete in and build applications. It's different this time around, wherein you see OpenAI getting into agentic commerce, or they're launching new apps or app store. So that's kind of happening. So you are basically relying on frontier models capabilities while being fully aware that they will eventually build certain apps, right? So finished products, if you will. We want to be building on things, assuming that these frontier models are going to get really, really good, and every time they get good and better, it should be a net positive for us. So that's kind of a general operating principle of how we build our engineering stack, right? So the assumption is frontier models are going to improve, but let's not get in their way of whatever they are going to improve. And obviously nobody has seen the future, but you can make a bit of an educated guess as to what they can do or cannot do. As an example, we don't believe that frontier models will go and build integrations into Semetar core banking or Finxact core banking from Fiserv, as an example, right? So deploying resources in building that MCP enabled integration cloud, we feel like that's an incredible value add as opposed to getting in the way of frontier models, as an example, right? So those are some of the early kind of learnings, and then we started building initially with one or two, and then we suddenly realized that there's going to be more and more such models. So we don't know which model is going to win. So we build the platform to be LLM agnostic. Now you can actually add any LLM, you can swap any LLM with a new release. Or when I say LLM, meaning frontier model and LLM, I'm going to use interchangeably. So the application building or the agent building is LLM agnostic, right? The infrastructure is LLM agnostic. So you can swap any LLM, you can actually fine tune an LLM for your purposes, and you can use that model. Or if you want to build, or we haven't built yet, but we have a roadmap to build a small language model for underwriting and very specific areas, so that we solve some of the latency problems too. And we should be able to just plug that right in it into any agent. So agent doesn't have to really be tightly coupled with an underlying frontier model, because their capabilities are changing, and as the new models come available, we want the flexibility to actually replace them. So that's kind of an important design decision on the platform level, which is the first layer, like the builder layer, right? Or the AI runtime layer I'm talking about. And then I think I previously talked about, and then we wanted to build agents that on top of it, and then we want to package those agents to deliver a prepackaged solution. So those things happen organically over time. It's a function of which market we are serving, which is do it for me market. So we cannot just give them a platform and just wait for them to go and build amazing things. We have to give them agents and package solutions that they can just consume, like we discussed right away.
Is there talk to me a little bit about your data connections, the systems you are integrated with? That tends to be historically, that was always this big barrier for credit union acceptance was, well, are you connected to my core? Talk a little bit about what's your strategy in regards to that?
There's a lot of grind, and then there's a layer of smart engineering work that we are doing, and I'll talk about both things.
Yeah.
Building integrations with, let's say, the bank tech stack like LOS core is not just technically challenging, but I think those organizations don't tend to have open APIs unless
Mhm.
a customer says, go and work with this particular vendor. So there are
Right.
all kinds of those problems with that. So what we did as part of our grind is obviously keep building, find any opportunity to keep building integrations and do them. But we went and bought a company a couple years ago called Upswot. It's
Hmm. Yeah.
UPSWOT. And what Upswot did in the first 6 years of their existence is basically build integrations across different categories of software like CRM, LOS, digital banking like Q2, Alchemy, Lumen,
Hmm.
Typhoon, etc. LOS vendors like Encino and Q2, etc. And they had like built over 100 different integrations. So we
Yeah.
went and bought that business so that we get like a base start, and then we made every single integration point MCP enabled. When I say MCP enabled, that is how agents communicate with underlying transactional data, right? So that was
Hmm.
the work that we've done. Now that's kind of a grind. There's no, the only thing that is we inorganically bought something. That's just that. I mean, we got 100 different enterprise software integrations in the platform already.
Hmm.
Then what my CTO did using our platform actually built an agent that can write integrations. So
Hmm.
the way, so we actually have an agent like a co-developer, a co-worker to a developer. And
Hmm.
if you point an API guide to this agent, it goes and writes an integration with that software using the API guide. And then, of course, our senior engineers have to go and quality check that and test it out, etc. That is kind of dramatically increasing the speed at which we are able to add integrations. So that's kind of our the
I
grind
love
plus
that.
smart approach. Yeah,
So you've had now a startup that was the pre-AI era, and now you've got a startup that is clearly, in that vein. How did you approach it differently as the CEO and founder between those two companies? What have you learned and what have you done differently? Because A, this is your second time, but B, this is
yeah,
now an AI company.
yeah. I think that's a phenomenal question. In one sentence, I'll say building an AI company, you can afford to be very ambitious, meaning you can actually chop a lot of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I built a SaaS business, which was a point solution LOS, right? And it was used by hundreds of institutions globally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do a SaaS company, you are really, I mean, it's what you want to really do is build something that can be repeatedly deployed many times over with as fewer customizations as you possibly can,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you maintain your gross margin. That's how you get the valuations and all of that. Now, from your customer's perspective, every single customer has their own secret sauce, right? And they're like, hey, we need to customize your software because that's our secret sauce. So there is this friction between what you as a vendor of SaaS, you don't want to deal with any customization because that reduces your gross margin and the profile of the business. And your customer is like, no, 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 no. For us to experience full value of your SaaS, we need to make these changes and deploy them for me. And by the way, you got to maintain it also. So there is this incredible friction. Nobody talks about this, of course, but there's this incredible friction between
Mm-hmm.
how you go about building a software, a SaaS company, especially enterprise SaaS company.
Mm-hmm.
I think that changes when you're building an AI company. You're no longer needing to have this friction because now you can actually deliver solution without thinking about how I'm going to maintain my AI software, because it actually auto maintains. We talked about that policy example, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
SaaS world, if the policy document changes, you have to go through a change management process. In the
Right.
AI world, if the policy document changes, you don't have to update your software. it actually picks up that software as is and runs with it. So I think the AI software paradigm shift is tremendous. It actually
Mm-hmm.
it sends power back to the hands of the users, because I think that friction goes away. Secondly, and I'll point it back to what I said about ambitious. I think building a point solution right now is, in our opinion, you cannot build a large company by doing that. You have to be a platform company that can deliver kind of multiple solutions, multiple, call it, agents, and expand your footprint within that institution. That way, being a platform company, I think point solutions, they will obviously get really good at what they do, but it's almost like cloud, right? I mean, when you think about institutions doing Amazon cloud versus Google cloud versus Azure, they want to pick one, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
all three. So something similar, but that's kind of what the difference is, in my opinion, between building a company in the SaaS world, which is full of friction between customers and you, versus now, which is like, I mean, here is what you get out of the box, but you know what? It doesn't stop there. We can change that. I mean, firstly, the AI itself changes that to your needs,
Yeah.
but we can also add custom agents very quickly.
Mm.
Anyway, so that's kind of 2 cents on that. Yeah.
Were you involved with credit unions before you got your investment from Curql, or did Curql bring the credit union market to you?
Actually, we were involved. Couple of the circles, limited partners in their fund,
Mm-hmm.
they were engaged with us as potential kind of customers, and they were evaluating our technology, and they were the ones who, although I mean, Circle was actually, I mean, we were introduced to them many years ago, and I was in touch with them, but they really understood about our capabilities through their existing partners, which is always
Mm-hmm.
a great way to get reintroduced, I guess, to the business, and that ignited some conversations, and Circle really liked the way we are thinking about this, and we talked a lot about on our call. I mean,
Yep.
they were looking to make an investment in an AI company,
Right.
and they have probably underwrote a couple dozen like point agent,
Mm-hmm.
and I think our hypothesis kind of was in line with how they are thinking about this space, which is, we don't need more point solutions. We need an intelligent operating layer that gives credit
Right.
unions a longer term advantage, not just, hey, come in and help me with this account opening problem that I have today. I think that could be very tactical, which we will anyways do and deploy. But I think there's a longer or much broader vision here to help the credit union community be future proof and AI ready.
What do you think that vision means from a credit union perspective? Right? As you're looking out over the future, you're looking at growth opportunities. Where do you think this is 3 years out from now? Both, say, in the firm in Uptiq, and then in the industry that's using the solution.
Yeah, I think the the community financial institutions, like let's say banks, I think they're looking to solve a slightly different problem than credit unions, and they are kind of our biggest market opportunities for us, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think 3 years out, and if you speak to them, bankers will usually talk about, hey, efficiency ratio, right? I mean, our efficiency ratios are just not where they need to be, and we think AI is the solution for it, right? And I think credit union will talk about member experience. How do we serve members better? How can we understand them better? How can we do all, basically deliver an amazing member experience? So I think um, there are different KPIs that these types of institutions are going after. I'll speak to the credit union, right? I think for the CU market, I think next, let's say, couple 3 years, the couple things that our platform will enable, either our platform and I think other other
Mm-hmm.
AI platforms out there, and we would like to collectively go and see this vision, to be honest, because I think if that happens, everybody wins. Firstly, give credit union employees their time back, right? their time back so that they are actually spending a lot more time with members. I would think if you think about an organization today, and if you just take all the hours that they have, like working hours, I bet about 75% time is actually spent inwardly, meaning just among themselves or dealing with current systems of record, compliance policies, etc., etc. I think a great goal, and I think that's kind of the vision I'm painting here, it should be to split that model, meaning now the collective number of hours are now actually less than 70% are outward looking, meaning they're actually spending more time with members, right? And 25% is actually been spent on internal processes or workflows or systems of record and so on and so forth. I think that's kind of one big. And the second one would be, I would say, hyper personalization. So not only spending time with your members, but really understanding what is it that matters to each one of them, regardless of their wallet size, right? And again, the AI should be able to surface. A human can consume just as much data, but AI has no such limit. They should. I think hyper personalization is already here. How does it get deployed at scale is to be seen, but I think it's inevitable. And I think the credit union should be able to deliver a really, really like hyper personalized service to their member, regardless of their wallet size. So it's no longer that the top 10% is receiving all the attention. I think all of them can receive same level of attention, simply because cost of delivering that is actually going to go down to the pennies.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, and I think it means a lot for credit unions. If a credit union is interested in learning more about your company or about engaging with you, how do they get in touch with you, Sunil?
I mean, hit Uptiq.ai, go to credit union page, and that's what they should do. Or just email me, snehal@uptiq.ai. What I promise to get back to them with is a relevant agent that could be stood up in days that they can try it out. What I'll also offer to your listeners here is $5,000 worth of consulting without charging them. Meaning, we sit down with them, we figure out areas where they need, let's say, automation or problems that we believe AI can solve, and we give them, they don't have to kind of use our platform, but we would love to spend like 3-4 days with them and tell them what. So our FD, we have an FD model, a forward deployed engineer who will pair with them, watch their work environment, and give them certain AI tips, and I think they'll see some value there.
So that is an absolute first, folks. For the very first time, one of our guests has offered you something for free, something discount. Let him know that you heard it on the Fintech Combine and you want to engage them in some consulting on your business. That is an awesome offer. Snail, thank you very much for that. This was a really great show. I appreciate you coming to us and sharing your story with us today.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. And those questions were spot on.
We try. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Snehal, thank you very much for joining us. I was so happy to have you on the episode today. I think all the credit unions should check out Uptiq.ai. A lot of value in what this could bring for your institution. If you like this content, please like and subscribe on your platform of choice. Don't forget to look for our bonus content on LinkedIn.com. And thank you very much for being here. We will see you next time.